Let me ask you something. Are you getting everything out of your rent-to-own business? If you're not an A-Pro member, then the answer is probably no. Look, advocacy is A-Pro's bread and butter. This is why they were created and what they do best. But here's the thing. A-Pro membership is about way more than advocacy. A-Pro connects you to the movers and the shakers of the industry, people who've been there, done that, and they can help you do it even better. A-Pro's monthly webinars give you expert insights and actionable takeaways. It's like having a masterclass for your business every single month. Got questions about complex regulations or sticky situations? No problem. A-Pro's legal hotline gives you direct access to experts who have got the answers. That's a peace of mind that you can't put a price on. And let's not forget the resources, news, updates, and tools that keep you ahead of the curve. Scholarships for your team? Check. Disaster relief when you need it most? Double check. A-Pro is your ultimate support system in the rent-to-own world. So stop settling for less. With A-Pro, members get more. More support, more connections, and more success. Head over to rtohq.org and join the A-Pro family today. Because in this business, more isn't just better. It's essential. See you at the top with A-Pro.
And welcome to the RTO Show with Danny and Pete. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm your host, Pete. And today we're going to talk about creativity versus structure, or what we like to call the 1-2 punch.
1-2 punch, 1-2 punch, 1-2 punch. Kind of like that song, the 1-2 step, you know?
It's like the left jab, the right hook. And I want to say that every time that we've talked, probably in the last 2 years, I think we've talked about this 1-2 punch. And we mention it because we kind of nicknamed it the 1-2 punch. But what really is a 1-2 punch? I mean, when we're talking about management, when we're talking about rent to own, what is that 1-2 punch?
Well, I think it's, in a nutshell, a dynamic duo. That's what I think it is.
Wait, that was a shameless plug right there.
But, okay, let's think about, famous characters. You have Starsky and Hutch. You have Holmes and Watson. You have Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Riggs and Murtaugh.
You have Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah.
And one thing you'll recognize about the duos is that they are opposites, like complete opposite, that sometimes you even wonder, how did they even become friends to begin with? Because they're so opposite, but they balance each other out. And so when you use this method into the business world, specifically the RTO world, I think that's how you really become successful.
Well, if you're looking at traditional, right, and you look at for new, if you have two people that think the same, you get some really crazy results, right? If everybody agrees on the same thing, then something bad happens, like, hey, I want to rule the world. And everybody goes, yeah, let's rule the world. And then something happens, and then somebody has to slap them down, like, no, you can't rule the world. You can't do that, right? And if you look at certain people, when you have that duo, it's because it covers more area. If I have a personality that covers so much, then I can only expect so much from that, right? Because there's going to be people that feel a different way or look at you a different way or act with you a different way. And I think that's where the other person kicks in. And it also gives you the fight for the idea that, hey, I think this is better. What? It's crazy. No, it might actually work. What? I don't know about that stuff. And then before you know it, you have, in the 1980s, some guy sold a rock with names and they called it the Pet Rock and he made $1 million. And it's like, who came up with that idea? I don't know, but if I was that guy, he's smart as hell. He sold a bunch of regular river rocks and made $1 million, right? So it's like you have those two dynamics. And I think right now what we're lacking probably in our area and CPO group is we have to have more of those duos in our stores. We've hired some really great ranged managers, and I think that we don't have their Chewbaccas. We don't have their, Murtaughs. We don't have their Laurel and Hardys. We have somebody who's running the show, but we don't. It's not necessarily to not agree with them, but almost to shine a light on the other side of the aspect of it.
Well, I've seen it too many times. You get a store, and I'll use this as an example, a store manager, good store manager, very efficient, but that's what they are. They are very efficient-minded, collection-minded, credit-minded. And then they, without realizing, build a team that it's all collection-minded, from the drivers to they're chasing and picking up, instead of flyering, to the account manager that's just on it, and they never grow. Now, that store manager can sell, but it's just not on their forefront mind. And then I've seen the opposite side where I've seen stores with dynamic salespeople, the store manager, the assistant, they even have the account managers training to sell every day, but their efficiency sucks. And that's where what we're trying to say is that 1-2 punch. Like, you need that opposite attraction. If you are super sales minded, your assistant needs to be as passionate about efficiency as you are about sales, or vice versa. That way you balance each other out. And that way you kind of put each other in check, regardless of your position status.
You mean like peanut butter and jelly?
Peanut butter jelly time. I'm sorry. Okay.
And so when we talk about it, we have a couple different names, right? So we call it the 1-2 punch. We call it the dynamic duo. But in reality, when you start breaking it down, we call it two different things in the RTO world. And that's usually sales and credit, right? And when we take a look at those two different positions, we're looking at it from two different ways. But the truth is, one is a lot about creativity, stepping outside the box, being the brand new guy, right? Having the different wrapping paper, putting the box inside the box, inside the box, inside the box. And then when you get into the bottom of the box, it's like a key to open up this really big present, right? And then you have the other person that's like, I'm wrapping the box because that's what people do. You wrap a present, they open it up, they get it, right? And credit is like that. Credit is very structured, right? When you look at it, you have a list to call, you call those people, and you have a couple of different reasons to call. Number one, I need to get something in the door as far as payment. I want to retain you as a customer, or I want to make sure you get off my back end. There's not a lot to it. There's not a lot of thought process, right? It's,
I'm going to disagree with you.
I don't know. And I see, that's what I see. I see credit as so structured. And,
again, this is why we're opposite. I don't see credit as structured. I see credit as creativity. You have to be creative on how to talk to people, how to find people, to skip traces. It's not just going in and then calling you're done. No, it's the swag. It's how am I going to...
Bro, that is...
Listen.
No way. That is not... I'm telling you, when I call credit, I'm like into... like.
Not me. I get more creative.
My creativity goes like to the lowest level when I call credit.
I get so creative when it comes to credit. Like, and I love showing account managers how to get that 30 plus customer, how to get that full payment. It's just, here's the thing about credit and sales. It's the exact same thing, but just on a different spectrum of the business. All you're doing is selling again. So if you're a great salesman, you should be a good account manager, because all I'm going to do is resell you the same agreement you already have. And why the value is to give me that $400 you owe me instead of taking $20 down the road. See, that's where the true salesmanship comes in, is at a really elite account manager. Creativity, my friend.
Just so everybody knows, even though I would probably say I'm the more structured in this sentence here, you flip that. And actually, I'm more of a salesperson. I like the sales side, right? And it's true, because it's going to suit everybody differently. When I call credit, to me, I see a list of wonderful people that I need to contact and make a arrangement of some sort now. We need to make an arrangement now. And that's not always bad, but it's not always good. And you have to remember that certain people do certain things better than others, and there's different levels. Am I the best guy calling credit? I'm not going to say I'm the best guy calling credit. Can I get calls done? Can I get payments in? Can I get commitments in? Can I set them on the right due date? Sure. That's what credit is. I've been trained that way. I can do it that way. But to say I'm the right guy to be calling credit? No, there's people better than me. I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't see it that way. I see it like this is a chore. I got to do my chores before I can go out and play.
Okay, so let's go on the opposite side. I'm going to tell you how I view sales. The way I view sales is 90% structure and only 10% creativity.
What?
Because I look at it as a chore. 90% of sales is telemarketing, calling paid in fulls, sending out mailers, tagging your showroom, merchandising. It's a routine to obtain a customer. And the only creativity part comes in is when it's time to close the sale. But from steps 1 through 9 before you close the sale, it's just a structured routine. It's just call Ms. Jones, let me call Pete, leave a message, try to sell you something. Hey, no money down, you great, awesome customer. And then, look, I got all this stuff in the showroom. Just take your pick. But the creativity...
I just want to apologize to everybody right now for the way he's acting. But listen, I would tell all my sales guys right now, I feel your pain when you have a credit guy and you stick them on the floor and that's how they see it. I feel your pain, because that's the other side of the coin, right? So when I call credit, I'm like, okay, this is what I got to do. I've got a set of rules that I've got to follow. This is what I'm going to do. Where Danny's seeing it as a completely different opportunity. but they're both opportunities. It's how you approach it. And when you have the 1-2 punch, you need both approaches, because when I come to sales, I love sales. I love it from the moment you walk in the door to the moment you leave. It's not just a sales opportunity. I'm selling me. I'm selling the company. I'm selling the services. I want to find out who your references are, because I'm going to call those suckers. I want to find your family. I'm going to call them too. Where do you live? I'm going to flyer that area. You know what? Your email, it's awesome. I love gotofunk@gmail.com. I'm going to tag that too. Your number, I'm going to text it. I'm going to find a way to make you enjoy every part of this. For my customer service, I'm going to have my little parties. I'm going to have you finding eggs. Oh, I remember the Easter egg commercial. Remember the Easter egg commercial? We're going to be finding some eggs, and we're going to make it an event, because to me, that's how we separate ourselves from the competition. How am I going to enjoy this situation? When I go to pay a bill, let's say, I don't always enjoy that, but if I go somewhere that I know I'm appreciated, I don't mind going there, even if I'm giving them my money. And the way I look at it is, if you take care of that bill here, I'm not only going to give you customer service, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to find something else, right? When you're on the end of that agreement, when you're, I don't know what I'm doing today. What? Bro, I got this e-bike that I don't want to sell. I got PS5s. I've got TV. Like, let's work on that. I love sales.
Okay. So as far as that aspect, I do enjoy performing sales. I don't like the steps that lead up to the sales performance. Like, when a customer comes in, I'm excited. I'm going to go, I will be one of the first people to go approach that customer and try to sell them something. I guess I don't like all the telemarketing and the stuff you have to do to get them into the door. And it's funny because we're very part of the marketing team with Amberly, and I do enjoy the marketing meetings and the videos that we do. That part is fun. To me, what I find boring is the in-store marketing that has to be done. The sitting down at a desk and calling so many PIFs, so many returns, sending out mailers, sending out thank you cards, which is a necessity in this business, but I find that boring. Like, that's not fun to me. Performing the sale is super fun. But it's funny how you just mentioned something, and my perception is the complete opposite. Customers paying out. I'm going to retain that customer. We're probably doing it for two totally different reasons. You're doing it for the sales aspect. I'm doing it for the efficiency aspect because I don't want to lose the revenue.
They're both right answers. The question is,
but it's just funny how we have different opposite perspective of reasoning.
Right. We always say that too, guys. And it's something that's, we always say, we always have the same destination. It's how we're getting there that's different. And it's okay. Your means of why you want to get there, but getting there is the opportunity. And one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this today was because we were listening to something, and I sent it to Danny, and I'm like, listen, this is so important, because the truth is, depending on who you are as a manager, or depending on who your manager is, there's a lot of structure to bringing people in the door, right? And sometimes management has a way of bringing in like-minded as opposed to opposite-minded. So if you're a structured person, if you feel a structured way, you will hire structured through the bottom end, right? You hire structure into delivery, you hire structure into accounts, you hire structure into sales, and eventually you will have a structured manager. The question is, can they do the opposite? Is that going to affect your day-to-day? Is it effective? And do you want it? And the answer is yes, because when you start getting to the top, you need to be more creative than structured, because the structure is what gets you there. The creativity is what puts the ideas out there. That's the fuel that drives the engine. And what I wanted to, kind of cover with everybody is so that they can understand, if you're creative and you have no structure, it's like building your walls out of Jell-O. It's just not going to hold up. But if you're not creative enough and you bring somebody in, well, if they're all structured, nobody's going to have that outside idea. And the way you approach credit is awesome. But I would also want a happier salesperson, right? I want somebody who's going to attain it that way.
Let's take a quick break.
Hey everyone, it's Pete Chow here from the RTO Show podcast, and I want to tell you about a company that's making a real difference in the rent-to-own space, Wow Brands. I've seen firsthand how they approach marketing. And let me tell you, it's not just about ads. Wow Brands builds complete digital ecosystems designed specifically for the rent-to-own industry. Their e-commerce and lead generation strategies are built to bring in qualified leads. And did I mention that they are actively working with the rent-to-own industry while also being members of APRO and TRIB? Listen, these folks are passionate problem solvers. They don't just slap something together. They design, build, and scale the kind of digital retail tools your business needs and your customers actually want. So if you're serious about growing, reach out to Wow Brands at wowbrands.com. I trust them. and I think you will too.
So if we're talking about the GM role, and I'm just talking from personal experience, the actual operations, I find it is necessary to be structured. When I mean like all the administrative duties, the inventory, the services and loaners, the tag in the showroom, the bathroom cleanliness, the vehicle maintenance. For that, for me, like I think it's important that the manager has to be structured. Paperwork, reports, like even though I didn't care for reports, but I did them. But I found myself, it was necessary for me to have a routine. I can tell you right now, if you ask the employees that worked for me back in 2016, 2017, every Tuesday was my inventory day. Do not bother me. Do not take notes. I don't care if you leave sticky notes all over my computer, but that's my inventory day. I'm doing inventory. Wednesday was my services and loaners. Now I had a guy, driver, David Brown, shout out, who kind of handled the majority of my services for me, but that was his to-do list on Wednesdays. So as far as the administrative, I think you have to be structured. But now when it comes to the performance, that's where you need to be creative. You have to be creative with the sales, the filing process, the pre-approving, the marketing, the collection strategies, the flyering and locations and cross-marketing and apartment complex, cookouts, in-store parties. I think you have to be creative when it comes to the performance, but you have to be structured with the administrative. I mean, would you agree with that statement?
I completely agree that that is a role that needs to be taken if that's the way you have it. Because I've seen
we agree, Pete. We agree.
I've seen management on the other side. I've seen management that are really goal oriented in a completely different area, right? So they're about getting the job done, but they don't do it well as far as the paperwork. Like they leave somebody else to do the paperwork because their thought process is going to running the business, right? And guys, when you're talking about, let's say a couple of different examples, right? One of them is if I had a painter, right? If I was painting something, and being a painter, although I suck at painting, I think is important, right? Art's important in life, but I create art through structure. And it sounds kind of like an oxymoron, but here, somebody invented a canvas that takes colors very well. Somebody invented the brushes that can brush very well. Somebody invented this color palette that is amazing and it goes on very smooth. But that's not what creates the art in the sense of the creativity. It just creates paint, and I can take those and swash them on there and nobody's going to like it, right? It's not the Mona Lisa. But you take an artist with the structure of the canvas and the brushes and the paint, and they'll create something amazing. And you have to know that when you have those two together, when you have that structured business where this is what the standards are, this is what I want, this is what we're looking at, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I want to happen, and you bring that person in with that drive, that goal, and that mindset, that's where the beautiful things happen. So I will, just challenge you guys out there. If you have a store that's stagnating, or if you have questions on how to make it better, find somebody creative who's structured. If you like building more than you like selling, get somebody in there. If you like selling more than building, and when I say building, that fundamentally it could be anything, calling, credit, or reports, that may be your challenge. And the 1-2 punch is always a winner. I would bet on that every day.
I was never blessed to have a true 1-2 punch when I was running my stores, but I had solid thirds in my store. And what I mean by that is, so I ran a very small staff. It was only 4 of us to begin with for a whole year. Now, granted, we grew 13,000 in rental revenues, efficiency got super efficient, increased profit, all that. But I only had 3 employees underneath me. I had one driver who took care of all my services and loaners. He took care of stuff that sometimes I would even forget as a GM. Like he was on it when it comes to dryer cords, ventilation hoses. Like he did his own little inventory, tools, building, touching up paint in the store, things we take for granted. Like I almost called him my operation guy. Like he made sure my vehicles were on point, etc. I had my credit guy. And my credit guy was like a pit bull. I had to be involved with it. Of course, it's just me and him. But he brought in majority of the money. I just handled all the problems, the services, the complaints, how do we resolve this? Oh, he's not going to take the short payment. Well, he's right. Let me explain why he's not accepting the short payment, but I will accept it if we can agree on the right amount next week, et cetera, et cetera. And then I had my salesperson. Now, I'll be honest with her. She wasn't a dynamic salesperson. In fact, she probably couldn't close a sale. Maybe 1 out of 10, she probably closed on her own. All the other ones I had to close for her. She was almost too structured with the process. Like she couldn't get it out of her mind of, I need a month down with the agreement fee, and I'm not going to accept anything less than that. or you're not going to get this stuff. And a lot of the times, you know how I would close the sale? Because she would do majority of the work, spend 30 minutes with a customer, great customer service. And she would come back and she'd be like, Danny, it's $130 down. That's what their agreement fee. And they say they can't do that. I'm like, how much can they do? They have $100. I'm like, take it. They're $30. Like, she couldn't get it out of her mind. But she was very structured with telemarketing, with web leads, with filing paperwork. She even, kept my paperwork in line for me, like reports, things you have to turn to home office. So I had a bunch of solid nerds around me, and I kept them in their department. And as a team, we fulfilled our duties and were successful. But you see, like, you have to surround yourself with opposite people. Like David Brown, we're totally opposite people. I don't think you probably have more in common with him than I do when it comes to fixing stuff, repairs of vehicles, like thinking like is a necessity to our business. The credit guy probably related a little more to him because I'm an efficiency guy. And then my salesperson who was super structured with the paperwork that I hated doing. But together we were a unit and it worked. So again, I think when it comes to the 1-2 punch, ideally you want that second person in charge to be completely opposite of you to balance you out.
Well, I don't think there's other way to do it. Now, you will probably get some emails and some calls or whatever and say, hey, I can do it this way or I can do that. And it's not to say that you can't, right? It's not to say that it's impossible. What I'm going to tell you is the yellow brick road was paved with a lot of different ideas. But I'm going to tell you right now from the RTO show will recommend the 1-2 punch. And I'm going to tell you why. Every time that you find that creative person, there is always going to be the opposite. The opposite always affects you in the correct way in an opposite form. And what I do believe is that even though a store can run a certain way, my question is, the more area that I can cover, the better it might be. There are just some people that are really that kind of minded, that creativity minded, that they like that gimmicky kind of side. They like that person who's always in a certain way, right? And I think the more people you have the same way, the more the echo chamber is. And that's what I'm afraid of, is the echo chamber. I don't want to say, this is right, this is right, this is right, this is right. And nobody goes, no. Or what about this? Or did we try that? And we don't try it. And we just beat an idea to the ground before we go somewhere else. I like the idea of somebody going, that sounds cool, but I'd like to do this. Or how about you try that and I'll try this? Or how about you having a problem with that phone call? Whether it be credit or sales. Hey, put them on hold. Let me try it out. How does that affect the day-to-day? How does that affect the morale in the store? And not to say that it's always the best, but every time that I've done it, it's the best. It's the way I like it. I want to run the market that way. I want to get my different people. I want to get the 1-2 punch out there. And when you have that 1-2 punch, when you have the creativity, when you have the structure, I think it prevents you from getting stuck in a rut. I think there's nothing wrong with routines, but sometimes you need to shake things up and push yourself out of your comfort zone. And doing so will expose, you and them to fresh ideas and new perspectives.
No, I completely agree because, this business is a day-to-day business anyways. And as much as I like to plan, this, plans get wrenches thrown in it all the time. So like sports analogy coming up, like a quarterback, you have to be able to call the audibles.
Yes.
But it's easier to call audibles when you have the right people in place and you have, again, if you're a structure and you have the creative person there, or if you're the creative person, you have the structure there, it will help you call the audible because, again, it's that opposite mentality to help you see something that maybe you didn't see, whether they're the structure one or the creativity one. That way you balance each other out.
Well, I think together, what you're looking for is to solve problems, right?
Correct. Yep.
You and your employees are going to see the bigger picture and focus on things that have an impact on the company when creative thinking is something that you do. And when these employees apply these things to the bigger picture problems, rather than just doing the same work every single day, they are more productive because they're thinking about how to drive and thrive the business. And that's something that's a little bit different, where you have employees that are being encouraged to be creative. Their workplaces will be better. Their ideas will be better. And then motivation comes from allowing people to make tangible differences in their workplace. That's what it is.
Well, ultimately, you're getting people emotionally involved with the team. They're invested now. You're getting them feel valued and heard because it's not just a, hey, we're going to do it this way and my way. It's bringing them into the circle and getting their ideas and talking about it. And then again, ultimately just getting them emotionally invested to say, hey, I am part of this team. My boss listens to me. The entire team listens to me and my ideas. Yeah, we don't do everything, but we try some things out. Some failed, some worked out great. And that's how you learn and that's how you grow and develop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. By promoting creativity, I mean, when you look at it as a whole, failure is to become less likely when everybody's has the freedom to say, hey, what's going on? Create that environment where everybody has the ability to say something and it not just sound like kooky and crazy, but really look at it, because creative environments that fear the failure of what you're doing also cripple ideas, right? You have to be, every once in a while you got to say, okay, we're not going to jump out of an airplane with something on our, don't look at me like that because we're not going to do that. But, you jump out of an airplane with a sign that says, hey, come see me at wherever. But there are other ideas like, you know what? That's not my cup of tea, but let's try that. What is it going to take? What is it going to take for you to foster this idea so that we can see the results and see what happens? Because sometimes every once in a while, we've got to go outside the norm, right? And if we don't go outside the norm, we don't get to see new and effective ways of doing something, how to make the process better, how we can tweak it, how we can make things faster or, cut something out, but creating new ways to introduce new things in a creative mindset under creating new things and creating those new products, creating those new lines is important, because you cannot, even McDonald's has new things on their menu and they've been around for 50 years, right? They have those core items, but they have the things that they do differently. And every once in a while they stick out the McRib in your face, right? It's because you need the creativity. You need something different. You need something that you can work on, something that changes it and mixes it up, but they keep to the core as well.
Absolutely. And guys, real quick, if you haven't following us, please follow our social media at the RTO Show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our TikTok account just hit 1,000 followers, Pete. Can you believe that?
That's what I'm talking about. Well, now you're going to start seeing some crazy stuff on there. But I want to say thank you to our sponsor. They've been great. They've helped us out. And this is going to be a different year for us. And we definitely want to push the boundaries of what the RTO Show has and what's going on.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Unlimited Marketing Solutions is a social media marketing company that can market directly to your specific customer base and provide solid and trackable results. Unlimited Marketing Solutions are also extremely flexible to meet your unique needs and budget, and are currently running a promotion for 10% discount off your first 6 months of marketing when you mention the code RTO Show. That's RTOSHOW when you call them at 352-553-3245. You can also email them at unlimitedmarketingsolutions@gmail.com. Now back to the show with Danny and Pete.
We are actually at 1,124.
That's what I'm talking about. That sounds amazing. And now every 1,000 of you guys are going to see some stuff coming up. We got some videos that we're going to put out very soon. And I think it's time for you guys to really see what we look like without our makeup on. So you can take a good look and realize that we're just like you guys. We have hard times. Larry's been on my butt. He's going to tell me, hey, man, we had evaluations not that long ago. And, Larry got to remind me, man, I'm not perfect. I got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things I can work on. And you know what? That's part of that structure. I want to bring creativity to the table and see how it works. And then you got somebody that reels you in and says, hey, you did this well, but you didn't do that well. Let's fix it by doing something different. And that's how you create, that's how you foster creativity to solve structured problems.
Again, if you haven't gone to our website, www.rtoshowpodcast.com, Pete has updated the website. It's looking better and better every time you update it. He put a couple of shout out videos in my name.
The montage page is up. The montage page is up. The voice pages, the voice guys that tell you oh man, this is how you do it. Rocky, you got inspiration. You're not a punk. Yeah, it's on there, baby. It's on there.
We do have a new video that will be released on February 1st. Dun, 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 dun. So check that out.
Dun, dun, dun. It'll be the max effect. I can't say anything else.
And of course, if you'd like to reach out to us, please reach out to us. You can email us, pete@thertoshowpodcast.com, or you can reach out to me, Danny@thertoshowpodcast.com. We are accepting sponsorships. If you'd be interested to sponsor the show, please give us an email. We can give you the details via email back. And we just love the support that we've been receiving. We're excited about going to the couple shows this year and interacting, networking. We got listeners from Ohio, Texas, Germany. I'd love to meet the listener in Germany. So I want to know who that individual is.
I would love to have them on the show just to see that different idea. I would love it.
But any feedback or comments or requests, please reach out to us, and we would love to schedule and pencil you in.
Last but not least, this week's Who Said What? So we go out to lunch. We are at the owner's mercy. We're going out on lunch, and we have to put Larry Pivotal and Paul Shaler. We got to ask them for the week, who said what, some questions that we're going to put on the RTO show.
I asked Larry, because I always ask him this, and he always has the same answer. I said, in your opinion, how do you be successful in this business? And his answer is always this: it comes down to the manager. The guy or girl that is steering that ship will define the success of that store. It's not about location. It's not about obstacles. It's not about this or that. It's the person behind the wheel that's saying, with a can-do attitude, we will be successful. There's other things in place, like we're talking about, like a second punch. That's going to help you be successful or even more successful. I know that's definitely what he said about the success of this business.
And then Paul followed it up with, we're asking him, you guys have been in this a long time, right? You have a company, you have actually several companies, you're doing fairly well. What's the secret sauce? And, Paul was like, there is no secret sauce. What it is keeping your eye on the ball, making sure that you're steadfast. When you have, those times where you feel like you fall down, you get back on your 2 feet and keep on walking. You keep your eye on the goal. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Keep your eye focused on what that main drive is. What did you do this for? Did you do this for success? Did you do this for, do you want to have a bigger company? Whatever the case is. And you keep your focus on there. And there are going to be things that they're going to knock you down. There are going to be things that are getting in your way. But you don't focus on those things. You focus on how to get past those things. And then when and if you have to change it, you change it a little bit, but you never take your eye off the ball and you keep on going straight forward. So those are a couple of things for who said what this week. Larry's got a lot more tips that he's going to give, but we want to save a little bit of those for the interview that we have with him pretty soon. We actually have 2 or 3 more interviews lined up, hopefully very soon. Don't want to give any spoilers away on who that is, because I've got to call Leroy right now and make sure that we're still on. And we wanted to tell you guys we really appreciate all the love. Come see the website, see us on TikTok, go to the social media websites, hit us up on an email, and then when it's all said and done, look at Danny's page on the website at www.thertoshowpodcast.com.
And with that being said, thank you so much. And without further ado, this is the RTO Show with Danny and Pete.